Edward checked his envirosuit's integrity readings for the third time in as many minutes. The atmospheric pressure on Kepler 442b was crushing, nearly 4 times Earth standard, and the temperature hovered at a balmy 58 degrees Celsius. Perfect conditions for the lithium extraction operation, terrible for carbon-based life that hadn't evolved in a pressure cooker. "You're doing it again," Jenny's voice crackled through the comm system, tinged with amusement. She stood 30 meters away, her own suit gleaming dully in the orange light of the system's K-type star. "Doing what?" "The nervous checking thing. We've been here 6 months, Eddie. If the suits were going to fail, they'd have done it by now." Edward grunted, watching the atmospheric processors hum in the distance. They were the only 2 humans on site, supervising a crew of Calixan workers who moved with the slow, deliberate grace of beings evolved in low gravity. The irony wasn't lost on him. "You remember what the Calixan administrator said during orientation?" Jenny asked, moving closer. Her helmet's faceplate was polarized against the harsh light, but he could hear the grin in her voice. "Which part? The bit about humans being insane, or the bit about us being the only species desperate enough to work here?" "Both, technically." Jenny crouched down, examining a seismic sensor embedded in the rust-colored soil. "But I was thinking about when she asked us why we'd leave Earth, a Class 12 Deathworld, she called it, to work on Kepler 442b, which rates a 14 on their habitability threat scale." Edward laughed, the sound harsh in his helmet. "And you told her about the salary?" "Damn right I did. Triple hazard pay, full benefits, and enough credits to buy property back home in a place that doesn't flood every hurricane season." Jenny stood, dusting off her gloves. "Besides, Earth might be a death world, but at least we evolved there. We're adapted to it. This place? This is just temporarily awful." The ground trembled, a minor quake, barely 2.5 on the Richter scale. The Calixan workers immediately scattered, their chitinous exoskeletons clicking in distress as they fled toward the reinforced shelters. Edward and Jenny didn't move. "There they go again," Edward observed, watching the alien workers retreat. "Can't blame them. Their homeworld has seismic activity maybe once every 1,000 years. This place shakes like this twice a day." Jenny pulled up a holographic display from her wrist unit, checking the extraction quotas. "We're ahead of schedule. The Calixan are efficient when they're not panicking." "Makes you think, though," Edward said, watching the tremor subside. "We're from a planet with hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes, tsunamis, and wildlife that actively tries to kill us. We've got viruses that can wipe out millions, bacteria that eat flesh, and weather patterns that swing from 50 below to 50 above 0 Celsius, depending on where you stand." "And yet here we are," Jenny finished, "on a planet that's objectively worse in every measurable way, doing it for a paycheck. The Galactic Union thinks we're crazy. The Galactic Union doesn't have student loans." Jenny's tone was dry. "Or medical debt. Or generational poverty." Edward pulled up his own display, reviewing the day's progress. The lithium veins on Kepler 442b were incredibly rich. The planet's unique geological history had concentrated the element in ways that made mining operations ludicrously profitable. The problem was that everything about the planet was trying to kill you. The pressure, the heat, the frequent seismic activity, the solar radiation that required constant shielding. For species that evolved on calm, stable worlds with temperate climates and predictable weather, Kepler 442b was a nightmare. For humans from Earth, it was just Tuesday. "You know what the really funny part is?" Jenny asked, moving toward the extraction site's main control panel. "The Calixan offered this contract to 47 different species before they got to humans. 47. Every single one turned it down. And we had a waiting list. 3,000 applicants for 20 positions." Jenny shook her head. "The recruiter told me she'd never seen anything like it. She kept asking if we understood the risks, if we'd read the environmental reports, if we comprehended what a Class 14 threat level meant. What did you tell her? I told her I grew up in Florida. Hurricane season alone qualifies as a Class 10 threat by galactic standards. She didn't know what to say to that. Edward chuckled, but his attention was drawn to an alert on his display. Jenny, we've got an anomaly in Sector 7. Pressure spike. How bad? Could be a gas pocket. Calixan protocol says evacuate and call in specialists. And human protocol? Edward was already moving, checking his equipment. Human protocol says we go check it out because the specialists will take 3 days to arrive and we'll lose a week of production time. Jenny fell in beside him, her movements easy despite the heavy suit and crushing gravity. You know, the Galaxian administrator files a formal complaint every time we do this. She also gives us bonuses when we solve problems ahead of schedule. They reached Sector 7 in 15 minutes. Their suits assisted mobility, making short work of the difficult terrain. The pressure readings were indeed spiking, but it wasn't a gas pocket. It was a coolant leak in one of the automated drilling units. Dangerous, but manageable. I'll shut down the drill, Edward said. You reroute the coolant flow. On it. They worked in practiced synchronization, their movements efficient despite the hostile environment. Within 20 minutes, the situation was contained. The Calixan workers, monitoring from the safety of their shelters, transmitted a series of amazed chirps over the comm system. You know, Jenny said as they walked back toward the main base, sometimes I wonder if we're actually crazy, if the rest of the galaxy is right about us. Edward looked up at the orange sky, where Kepler 442b's sun blazed like a malevolent eye. In the distance, a dust storm was forming, another hazard that would send the Calixan running for cover while he and Jenny simply sealed their helmets and kept working. Maybe, he admitted, but we're crazy with excellent benefits and a retirement plan. That's got to count for something. Jenny laughed, the sound warm and human in the harsh alien world. Eddie, we left a planet that's actively trying to kill us to work on a planet that's trying even harder. And we did it for money. Humans are the only species who leave Deathworlds because they got job offers on worse ones, Edward quoted from the Galactic Union's unofficial human resource assessment. Damn right we are, Jenny agreed. Now come on. Shift ends in an hour, and I want to hit the commissary before the Calixan eat all the good synthetic protein. They walked together across the hostile surface of Kepler 442b, two humans far from home, doing the impossible for an honest wage. Behind them, the extraction operation hummed with efficiency, a monument to human adaptability and the kind of calculated madness that only a species from a death world could truly understand. Above, the alien sun beat down without mercy. Neither of them noticed.